You are sitting on a cold, damp rock in the Paleolithic era. The air is thick with the smell of wood smoke and wet earth. Your stomach rumbles. The biological imperative hits with sudden, undeniable force. And here's what is actually happening. You're about to participate in one of the most vulnerable, unglamorous, and evolutionarily significant acts in human history. Completely exposed to the elements with absolutely nothing to wipe with but a handful of moss. Before we descend further into the archaeological evidence of prehistoric sanitation, let me ask you this. If you had to choose between using a smooth river stone or a handful of dried leaves right now, which would you pick? Drop your survival choice in the comments below and let us see who the true Paleolithic survivors are. Let us talk about the bathroom, or rather the complete and utter absence of it. For 300,000 years, Homo sapiens did not have a designated room for biological waste, not because they lacked intelligence, not because they were oblivious to hygiene, because the concept of a toilet is a remarkably recent invention in the grand timeline of human existence. When you feel that sudden urge today, you walk to a specific room, close a door, and sit on a porcelain throne. Ancient humans did not have this luxury. They had the outdoors, they had the forest floor, they had the edge of the camp, assuming the wind was blowing in the right direction. Here is something that genuinely surprises most people. The act of defecation in prehistoric times was not a private, secluded event. It was a communal, highly visible, and constantly managed reality. Early humans mapped their environment not by abstract landmarks, but by immediate utility. The sleeping area was sacred. The fire was the center of social life. The periphery was the zone of biological necessity. You did not foul the sleeping area. You did not contaminate the water source. This was not a written law. This was an unwritten, deeply ingrained social contract born of immediate survival. If you made the camp smell, you attracted predators. If you attracted predators, the group died. The pressure to manage waste was not about politeness. It was about staying alive. Let us take a step back and look at the full picture of what happened after the act. How did ancient humans wipe themselves? What did people use before toilet paper? The answer is a hierarchy of discomfort, stretching back hundreds of thousands of years. At the very bottom of this hierarchy was nothing at all. For countless generations, early humans simply stood up, brushed against a tree trunk, and moved on. The friction of bark or rough fabric was sufficient, but as human settlements grew and the need for basic comfort increased, our ancestors began to experiment. They used smooth river stones, known in archaeological terms as pesoi. Archaeologists have found these stones in ancient Greek and Roman sites, carefully smoothed by water, sometimes showing microscopic wear patterns consistent with repeated handling and use. They used clusters of dried moss, specifically sphagnum moss. This was not a random guessing game. This was applied botany. Sphagnum moss possesses natural antiseptic and absorbent properties. Early humans knew which plants would not cause allergic reactions or skin irritation. They knew which leaves were soft enough not to tear delicate tissue, yet firm enough to do the job. They used water, scooping it with a hand or a shell, a practice that remains the standard in many parts of the world today. But here's where it gets interesting. The Romans, often celebrated for their advanced engineering and public bathhouses, introduced a solution that sounds like a modern horror story. They used the spongium. This was a sea sponge attached to the end of a wooden stick. It was designed for efficiency. It was designed for reuse. And most shockingly, it was shared. Communal wiping was a standard practice in Roman public latrines. You would use the sponge, rinse it in a channel of flowing water, often mixed with vinegar or salt water to mask the odor and provide a mild disinfectant, and leave it for the next person. This is not a modern hygiene standard. This is an evolutionary gamble with intestinal flora. The idea that dozens of people shared the same wiping implement in a single day challenges our modern understanding of disease transmission, yet it was the pinnacle of Roman sanitary engineering. Did ancient humans have privacy when going to the bathroom? The short answer is no. The long answer is a fascinating look into human social dynamics. Privacy, as we understand it today, is a construct of architecture and social norms. In the Paleolithic era, survival depended on group cohesion. You did not wander far from the camp. You did not isolate yourself in a vulnerable position. Defecation is a moment of profound physical vulnerability. Your attention is divided. your mobility is restricted. If you needed to relieve yourself, you did it near the group, often while maintaining a conversation or keeping watch for predators. The idea of being overheard or seen was not a source of embarrassment, it was a source of safety. The group provided eyes on the perimeter. The group provided immediate assistance if a threat emerged. Let us zoom out one final time on this concept. The modern anxiety surrounding bathroom privacy is a direct result of our built environment. We have constructed walls, doors, and locks to create an illusion of isolation. We have pathologized the natural sounds and smells of human biology, treating them as shameful secrets to be hidden behind thick wood and running water. Ancient humans accepted their biological reality as a shared experience. They were there, they adapted, they moved in. We are halfway through uncovering the brutal reality of prehistoric hygiene. If you're learning something new about the ancestors you never knew you had, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and share this video with someone who takes their modern plumbing entirely for granted. But here's the thing, nobody tells you about ancient sanitation. The assumption that prehistoric life was a pristine natural state is fundamentally flawed. Nature is not clean. Nature is teeming with pathogens. A major study published in Nature by Sakura and colleagues in 2025 mapped the spatio-temporal distribution of human pathogens. They identified thousands of individual hits against hundreds of species of ancient bacterial, viral, and parasite DNA extracted from archaeological remains. This data reveals a brutal truth. Poor sanitation was not just an inconvenience, it was a primary driver of disease transmission across ancient populations. Dr. Piers Mitchell from Cambridge University published a comprehensive review in 2024 on ancient parasite analysis. His research demonstrates that intestinal parasites like whipworm and roundworm were endemic in ancient populations. These parasites do not care about your philosophical connection to nature. They care about fecal-oral transmission. They thrive in environments where human waste is in close proximity to human food and water. Here is something that almost nobody talks about. Even when humans developed advanced sanitation infrastructure, it did not immediately solve the problem. The Vindolanda Roman latrine study, published in 2025, analyzed sediments from a Roman military fort in northern England. Despite having sophisticated stone latrines, wooden seats, and flowing sewer systems designed to carry waste away, the Roman soldiers stationed there were infected with multiple intestinal parasites. The infrastructure gave them a false sense of security. They were still sharing pathogens. They were still living in close quarters. The biology of the parasite did not care about the elegance of the Roman arch. The flowing water in the latrine channel was likely contaminated upstream, or the communal sponges served as perfect vectors for transmission. The technology advanced, but the biological reality remained stubbornly, lethally the same. Let us talk about the transition. How did we get from the forest floor to the modern sewer? The Ancient Trash Project, a 2025 study, demonstrated how early farmers learned waste management through archaeological analysis. As humans transitioned from nomadic hunter-gatherer lifestyles to settled agricultural communities, the concentration of waste became a critical existential problem. You cannot simply walk away from your own feces when your house is built directly on top of last year's campsite. The density of early settlements, like the famous site of Çatalhöyük, created environments where disease could spread with devastating speed. Mid-Holocene hunter-gatherer-fisher communities, as detailed in the 2024 study by Kleijne and colleagues, began to show evidence of communal waste management. Microscopic and geochemical analysis of archaeological sites reveals designated waste pits. This was not just about getting rid of the smell, this was about survival. Concentrated waste attracts flies. Flies transmit disease. Disease kills children. The creation of the waste pit was one of the first true acts of public health. It was a recognition that individual biological functions have collective consequences, not because they understood germ theory, not because they had microscopes, because they observed the pattern. Sickness followed the flies followed the waste. The solution was to bury it, to separate the biological output from the living space, to create a boundary between the human and the pathogen. We are approaching the end of this descent into prehistoric reality. If this video has changed how you view the modern bathroom, make sure to subscribe, hit the notification bell, and share this video to spread the knowledge. The honest answer is that the bathroom is a recent fragile invention. It is a thin veneer of civilization stretched over a deeply ancient biological imperative. You are no longer sitting on that cold, damp rock in the Paleolithic era. You are in a temperature-controlled room, separated from the elements by drywall, tile, and porcelain. You have soft, manufactured paper, you have flowing water at the touch of a handle, you have a locked door. But the biological imperative remains exactly the same. The only difference is the illusion of separation. We built walls to hide our nature, but the nature remains. We engineered systems to carry our waste away, out of sight and out of mind, pretending that we have conquered the messy reality of being a biological organism. One species, one inherited biology, ripples across the entire living world, from the forest floor to the modern sewer, and what connects you to them directly, without interruption, across 300,000 years of human history, is the simple, undeniable fact that we all eventually have to go.